Hello and welcome. This is Krista from the Online Selling Show, and I thought this would be a really good time of the year to get in a conversation about how you're networking with your mail people, but also having some understanding about what the rules are within the post office and where and how they're going to help you or how they're going to become a hurdle that you have to figure out how you're going to overcome. So, one of the essential things I had to learn from the very beginning was that there is two types of mail carriers, technically three, but there's a city carrier and a rural carrier, and there's different rules that apply to the different contracts of what they are. Correct me if anybody out there knows more definitively, but my understanding is basically the city carriers, the people that have like the bag on their back with the mail in it, they park the vehicle and they're going around and making the deliveries on foot. The rural carriers are the ones you're going to see in the mail truck that are going around and pulling up to the mailboxes and putting the mail in out of the truck, in a nutshell. The third technically comes in being like the newbies that don't really have an assigned route, that kind of come in and fill in as they have to be needed. And then you have the people that actually work in the post office that don't have routes. So, I mean, I guess technically there's the fourth. But anyway, I used to run into problems because it was like, I'm like ready to like fill out a mail truck and I need a second pickup. And it's like, well, you got all these mail carriers out here. Why can't you have somebody drop in and make a second stop? Well, one of the things I learned about was the size of the route, and I guess their compensation is based on the volume of what the route's doing. And my particular mail lady's route has mine and another volume account on it that, especially this time of the year, they do a lot of costumes and toys. So this time of the year, like she said, she went the other day and they had like 6 pallets of stuff to pick up. So she's having to basically load her truck up multiple times, take it to the post office, which thankfully is not that far for her from this place, and then go back and load it all up. Truthfully, I don't know why, and I've heard, I don't necessarily know that to be true, that our regional center will send pickup truck or send semi trucks to pick up, I'm going to assume in the next couple of weeks, but I think she's before that part of the busyness and they're still expecting her to pick up. But that's going to affect me because my business is picking up and I'm starting to really put some volume out. And a lot of my deadlines in my head work on when she's going to be picking up and when the UPS is picking up. So I really do try to avoid her having to make a second trip to me. But through conversations with her, I've learned a lot about how her day runs. And I know that like Mondays, she's actually off. It's going to be the substitute will be coming much later because it's the substitute. They don't know the route as well, but the volume of what they're getting from these other businesses, this other business and stuff. And she really doesn't mind coming back a second time if she has to, because this other business is running her ragged. And I guess she feels that like in some way, she's making it up to us when she can't pick up all the stuff because they've loaded up her truck to begin with, because there has been that where she shows up and the truck's loaded. So we've done a lot of working with her to try, and it's not just her, I've had other ones through the years, but one of the things I've learned is that they're based on the volume and they get at least one annual, maybe biannual of type of audit done on it. And I know the one happens to be in February, and I feel bad because she really wants us to bulk up as much as we can at that time. But unfortunately, that's our slowest month of the year. So I'm not able to accomplish, getting as much volume to her as I can. Because like I said, the size of her route and the compensation of her route is based on this at least one audit. So that is the reason they can't bring in people from other routes that are permanent people, because they're being paid and compensated on the other routes, and it becomes a contractual thing, and they're the way that their union and stuff works, that they can't do that. But that's not to say they haven't sent out a supervisor or somebody else within the post office to come. I know last year we had like the janitor or something coming to pick up. So in having these conversations, like I said, I do understand now what their rules are among what they're allowed to do, or they will send, like I said, this person who's not assigned to a permanent route. And I've had to learn that, they get their routes based on seniority and bidding. I guess it's like every year. So, like I said, I've started to learn how their internal bureaucracy, I guess, works. And some of the other things I've learned is that basically, like, they have trucks that come 9 a.m., noon, and 6 p.m. So it has opened up the door for us as well, especially in the holiday season where every day counts and what time of day I can get the mail out counts. So, this is some of the conversation I've had with the mail people, that if you can, especially like on Mondays, send somebody to get there very early in the day. That's going to free up all of my outbound area where all the packages are, but it'll get my stuff. I don't know if I'm going to make the 9 a.m. truck, but the noon truck, which out of the 3 is usually the one that's like less full. So they know at any time now, you come on a Monday morning, so that's part of the conversation. Another part of the conversation we've had is we have a holiday coming up. I have Columbus Day coming up on Monday, and they happen to be closed. They're closed for mail delivery and all, but I happen to know that they will have people. It's going to be a skeleton crew, but there will be people there. They've already told us they will be sending someone to our location to pick up. And by having that open communication, they're understanding that we will be there and available. They can't assume then that everybody is going to be available, because some people will legitimately be closed. But because we've had these conversations, they understand that, we will be there. And it helps them in the planning on Monday as well, because if they have maybe the necessity, they wanted a second person, but they weren't sure, by knowing that they have us now, they have an assignment they know they can give and bring in that secondary person to justify the hours. So I highly recommend just being very hospitable, speaking to the postmaster, speaking to the person, let's say, that's behind the desk, that's weighing the packages and putting postage and stuff on. They're just another mail employee, unless you happen to go like at lunchtime or something, and maybe the postmaster has to fill in. There are some very small post offices where there may just be the postmaster and that's it. But mine is a more regional one. It serves a lot of geographical area, has a lot of different people working for it. So I've already recognized, for me to go in and just start complaining to the person behind the counter is not going to get me anywhere, because they don't have any authority to do that. So I've just gone in and just said, hey, I have some questions I'd like to ask the postmaster. They're just some things that I've run into for some issues with my business. And I'd like to know how I can just operate better so that we can get this mail moving quicker. Something to that degree, where it's not like I walked in and just said, hey, I need to complain. No, I've always taken the position is, what can I change for myself to make things better? Some of the times, seriously, during this holiday, my husband will load up his own truck. I'll be loading up my car so that we can get to the post office, because I know that that truck is getting there. That truck is leaving at 6. And I've had to have conversation. Okay, do you want my packages here by, if I were to make that 6 o'clock truck, because I have a lot more that maybe I didn't get to the mail lady. I've had that many a times where we will, especially in the coming months, load up our vehicles and park in the back. I mean, that's another conversation I had to have. I'm not pulling up to the front because the front's closed, but they'll be more than happy to take it in the back. And I've had to learn what is the system, because if I take it up there at 5 o'clock, I don't know that they're going to scan all those packages. So I've had to take scan sheets, if that's what it takes, to get those packages moving and out of the way. So I hope you got some good content. Maybe this gives you a little bit more information. One of the other things I forgot to mention, and just dawned on me, was they have mail tubs. And I've had to learn that me giving them my mail in the mail tubs apparently makes their life easier, even though I look at it that the tubs I had fit more in them. But the problem was that the mail lady would have to take all those individual boxes out and put them in her truck. And this particular one, doesn't like to do that. So even like last night, she dropped off huge stacks in her own personal vehicle after she was done work to us, because she prefers to have everything in mail tubs, where the mailman I had before that had everything like Tetris, like just loaded in his back. He was very like organized. That's just the differences in what they were. But something as simple as that in there, if I can make their life easier, trust me, it's not making my life easier because I've got like 40 of these tubs now versus like 20 of my regular ones. But if that's what's going to make her happy, that's what I'll do. So I would appreciate a thumbs up if you got any good content out of this. Tons more on this topic, I am sure. Please leave comments down below. I recognize that you probably are going to have a lot more other frustrations with your local post office. Like I said, sometimes just going in to get educated on them and their policies they have to follow, maybe not something you agree with, but maybe helping you figure out how to work around their hurdles they're putting up. So I will say bye for now. Catch you in the next one.